Yet again, I return with more anime watched. The first video came out almost a year ago now. Since then, the length of the list has almost doubled, and in this time, the top 10 rate has dramatically changed. So has my taste. This process of hunting down different shows that I had never watched has been a fun one. I don't think I would ever have watched some of these shows if not for this challenge. And this video is no different. I come bearing an additional 12 anime, some shows, some movies. And truthfully, we're gonna cheat a bit. If I've read it, I'm counting it for the list. So I watched Darkside Blues a few days ago, and I genuinely couldn't tell you anything about it. I'm sitting here with my keyboard in my lap, Stellar Blade in the other tab, trying my best to see what I can remember about Darkside Blues. We have the big thing. We have the organization called Persona, which that's fun. We have a mediocre cast of characters who are just nothing, except the titular Darkseid, who spends the whole time fucking aura farming and vague posting. The animation and art can be summed up. Uh, you know those Twitter accounts that post 90s anime vibes. The whole anime, the whole movie is just 90s anime vibe slop. While record, OBS. I'm bringing up OBS. Nostalgia, Darkside Blues. Art direction was superb. Why doesn't Darkside Blues have a fandom? Retro anime. Darkside Blues doesn't have a fandom because it's kind of fucking shit. It's nothing special. The most memorable scene is the old guy who sings the song Darkside Blues. Other than that, the whole movie feels directionless. I don't know what the point was. And you shouldn't say that about a movie. Like, why did I watch that? What was the point? Because I don't know why I watched it. Why did I waste my time? The ending, nothing. The ending was just nothing. A nothing cast. The style is too classic that it becomes unmemorable, and a blech story makes this one of the worst marbles on the list. The Homestuck animated pilot is one of the most baffling few minutes I have ever experienced. There wasn't a single moment where I really understood what was going on. And I did my work. I read the section that was covered in the pilot, and it kind of felt like I was experiencing two different stories. I am a vulgar person, but this show is insane. They go off the rails with the amount of cussing, which I don't have anything against, but it does make it feel a bit childish. But I think the main character is literally 13 years old, so maybe they're correct for that. It looks fine. The art style doesn't like lend itself to pretty visuals, just smooth movement. This is just the pilot, and I haven't read the rest of the story, but this is all that's out. So that's what I'm rating, and it's kind of down there on the list. This one really disappointed me. The first episode shows real promise. A bunch of players get locked into an MMO after their latest expansion. Nobody knows what's going on, and everybody needs to quickly adapt to the new world. The main characters are all veterans of this game and know all the rules, and so can quickly fit into everything that's going on. That sounds cool, yeah? It was. But that's not how it starts. That's kind of like the whole thing. That's the whole story. A group of people are really good at an MMO, and now they live in it. I only watched season 1, so maybe this changes, and maybe season 2 is fucking amazing. But my main problem is that nobody ever talks about escaping. Every single character just seems okay with staying in this fantasy dimension for the rest of their life. Which some would. I mean, like, not to be rude, but these guys are max level in an MMO. Their real lives may not be that good, but come on, everyone, most of the characters, they don't even feel like players. They just become fantasy people. And I'm not talking about the literal NPCs, the people of the land. Just other players. They just seem to be turned into fantasy guys. I can't take too many of these characters seriously. You know, a lot of them, they look cool, but that's just what they did in the character creator. This furry cat guy, he's not a furry cat guy in real life. So, you know, when he's flirting, what's he really like, right? The main trio, you know, okay, until, you know, two of them fuck off and it's just about the glasses guy, Shiroi. Except, somehow, despite dominating the importance of the show, uh, I just don't get the vibe that he's even doing anything. The main character and almost all the characters feel so weak and insignificant, even though it is surprisingly a very character-driven story. This was pretty good. I watched the first season and then I read the manga a few years back and I enjoyed it. This is a story about two guys creating manga in Shonen Jump. And yeah, I don't know how accurate it is. All my knowledge on manga making just comes from this manga. But the creators of the show are established authors within Shonen. It's made by the same two authors who made Death Note, and this has a very different tone. Overall, I enjoyed the first sections of the story a lot more than the later sections. The two characters just starting out and trying to break out was a lot more engaging than the my writer's block and all this other stuff. You know, I ultimately care more about the manga making process in the show more than any of the characters. This is where I start cheating. I've only read Chainsaw Man, all of part 1, some of part 2. And, you know, the gap between entries are fairly large here. I enjoy Chainsaw Man a lot more than I did Bakuman. I've seen clips of the show, and I enjoy the tone they aimed for. The very cinematic, grayish style, I think works and fits quite well for Chainsaw Man. But the movie just looks so much better, right? Oh my god. Overall, Kobeni's the best character. Everyone agrees, right? One episode. An episode is out. But that one episode was damn good. So I've already read All of Steel Ball Run, and it's one of my favorite mangas of all time, but we'll judge this only on the first episode, despite the fact that I've read the whole thing. I know how it all pans out. I was at the edge of my seat, cheering, hooting, hollering as the race developed. The music, the directing was extremely fun and hype in the best ways. The star of the show was definitely my goat, Poco from what I can tell. They've added a bunch of scenes just for him, and he was definitely my favorite part of it all. Obviously, Gyro, he does his stuff, he looks awesome. A lot of the characters look good. One Piece has a real redemption here. After the stinker, that is, episode 528, One Piece, Baron Omatsuri and the Secret Island is one of maybe two good One Piece movies. The rest they're fun or bad. And I've seen all of them, okay? This is quite easily the best one in every way. The art style and animation, incredibly lively and fun. The narrative is actually also pretty great. The tone of this movie is reminiscent of Prime Water 7, also known as Prime One Piece. It is undeniably the darkest One Piece movie. And it's not just dark for a shonen anime. Some of the stuff that goes down it's kind of... I would almost call this a horror movie. Among all the shonen movies, most of them are slop, and I've seen a lot of them. All the Naruto movies, all the Dragon Ball movies. I would say this is either the best or the second best shonen battle manga movie. It's kind of fighting with Dragon Ball Super Broly, because that movie looks so damn good. Okay, sorry, whoops. Wrong one. Lupin is kind of all over this list. We have 2 movies, and now we have Lupin Part 4. Originally, I watched Lupin the first a few years back, but honestly, I couldn't tell you anything about it. I couldn't remember anything about it. So I rewatched it, and we'll talk about that in a bit. But I then watched Castle of Cagliostro like a year ago, because that was included in the Miyazaki Marvel, and I like that. And then Part 4 was added. Lupin Part 4 seems to be some sort of a comeback, as Lupin Part 3 was years ago. It's also not like JoJo in that you really need to have watched the last parts. They're like almost entirely episodic and self-contained, right? And the cast remains the same. I hope you like these guys. They're staying. Overall, I enjoyed the characters. Lupin, he's loud, he's all about showmanship, which I really like about him. He's also just like a good guy. Um, I couldn't really tell you anything about Jigen. I just really like him. He's cool. Fujiko, she's okay. She plays the friend or foe card in many episodes. Sometimes she's working with Lupin, sometimes she's actively against them, and I prefer when she's working with them. But the latter does make for some really good moments. Goemon, he doesn't do much in part 4 except for the fact that he has the funniest moment. Senigata was pretty great. It basically became a joke to me to say Lupin every time he appeared, which was great. And it wasn't just me screaming, he was right there with me. And there are other part exclusive characters like Rebecca, Robson, Nyx, and that other guy, which I can't name. My favorite episode was definitely the one where Lupin, Jigen, and Goemon had to deliver this dog while Senigata was chasing them. That was the best episode. That was funny. The overarching story of part 4 is okay. The concept is just fucking insane that I'm on board just based on that, right? I enjoyed part 4 so much that I rewatched Lupin the First, and oh my god. This is so peak. This is peak Lupin. Every character is at their best. The style is off the charts. The story and narrative is actually kind of fire. There's so many great moments in this, and of course, the animation. Jesus. This was one of the best looking movies I have ever seen in my entire life. This was in the B tier, but it's moving up to the S tier. It was that good. Thank you, Weeb Uncharted. This is one of the most fun movies I have seen in my entire life. There is so much life in everything. The animation, the performances, the music, the tone of the story. There's so much to love and enjoy. The characters are all surprisingly likable, even though most of them don't have a gigantic role or have too much screen time. The way the story escalates, it's insane. It's really fun. I suggest this one truly. This is the biggest surprise of the video. I watched this one on a whim. The concept wasn't too striking, the animation wasn't anything too big for me either. I was just drawn to it. And this is one of my new favorite shows of all time. Number 2 and number 1, they're really just mangas. So this is technically the highest rated show on this list, and for a good reason. Number 1, the characters. The main 2 characters are fantastic. Their personalities, the way they talk and act, the way they interact with each other, and the rest of the cast is brilliant. I adore them. The rest of the cast, they're also really good. A lot of them have their own stories. They're all protagonists in their own story. We're just getting to see the main characters a bit more than the others. Number 2, the directing. So good. In terms of art style or fluent animation, it's not going to win many points, but it's pushed up so much by the amazing directing. Okay, let's look at fucking Log Horizon. Whole episode, characters just sit around and talk, and it's the most boring shit I've ever seen in my entire life. They don't use the visuals in any way other than to show who's talking. Compare this to Journal with Witch. The visuals are actually used to help tell the story. Number 3, the way it keeps getting better and better. First episode goes by, I said, that was amazing. Second episode, I said, that was even better. Third, even better. Fourth, even better. And so on and so on. And the last few episodes hit, and they're just the best episodes. Somehow this show kept getting better and better. It's only 13 episodes long. I highly recommend it. Here we go. Let's cheat a bit more. Kingdom is one of my favorite mangas of all time. It's the most shonen seinen I have ever read. I absolutely adore the setting and the conflicts that occur within the story, both on and off the battlefield. It is one of my favorite arcs ever. The characters are fun. The antagonists are great. The art is fantastic. I really love it. Let's check out the anime. Oh, I think this is why Kingdom isn't as popular as it could be, because this is bad. I'll also say that overwhelmingly I prefer the Japanese names over the Chinese names because I'm a weeb. Saying the Japanese names are easier. I recommend reading this or maybe pressing through season 1. I know that it gets a bit better, but still, come on. So, what's number 1? Well, This is my marble. I got it through 1 million mana coins. Through clever saving, I saved up something, but you could never get this far by just waiting. You're gonna have to gamble a bit. Akagi. Oh my god. Let's start with Fukumoto, okay? The man behind the manga. He may not be the most popular. He may not be the best, but whatever, okay? But among all the authors that I have ever read, Fukumoto appeals to me more than anyone else. He is a master at suspense. Absolutely incredible pages where I'm constantly at the edge of my seat. I'm terrified for the fate of our characters. And this includes Kaiji, which he also made. Reading Kaiji and Akagi are some of my favorite reading experiences of all time. They're both fantastic. I know the big noses, they're a bit of a turnoff, but trust me, you get used to them. Let's talk a bit about Mahjong. Okay, I'm booting up Final Fantasy XIV again. This wasn't just for Log Horizon, I'm actually stuck playing the game right now. Mahjong is such a fun game that I hate. There's so much randomness to it. To play perfectly and still lose. That is what Mahjong is all about. I hate it and I love it. Look at this game I had, by the way. I got Rond in the first two hands by the same guy, and then I had an insane comeback where I won every hand afterwards. I love Mahjong and I hate it. And Akagi, he's really good at Mahjong. Okay, he's basically superhuman. We rarely even follow Akagi's perspective since he's playing at such a high level. It's fantastic, truly, truly fantastic.